Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Board with Fins, a podcast with casual people talking casually about board games and everything tabletop. The gimmick, potentially, is that some of us may be Finnish. The mystery goes on. I'm one of your hosts, and my name is Tom. But luckily, it's not just me, because next door to the studio, there was an X-rated unofficial BronyCon happening, and I've managed to snag two people to just randomly talk board games with me. So I'm joined in the studio by Twilight Sparkle in assless chaps, and Applejack with a ball gag. Wait a minute, it's Simon and Ita. What are the chances? Hi, guys. How's it going?
Which one am I?
Well, I don't know. Do you want a ball gag or assless chaps?
I see myself with assless chaps, to be honest.
Okay, so you're Twilight Sparkle then.
Twilight Sparkle.
I've been called Pinkie Pie by a older man in a pub trying to hit on me.
Oh wow,
That's like 5 levels of creepiness.
Yeah.
I had pink hair at the time. I think it's relevant.
Oh, you don't think it was a My Little Pony reference?
I think it was definitely a My Little Pony reference, but it was based on the fact that I had pink hair. I think I'm more like
creepy.
Definitely, but there's the one that has rainbow. Like there is one that is the exact color of my fencing socks and my hair, and I can't remember which one it is.
I don't know My Little Pony that well. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I just googled, and those are the first 2 names. So that's what.
I think it might be Twilight Sparkle.
How you guys doing? Long time no see.
So much has changed. So much has changed. I'm definitely not as hungover as I was last time because I've been drinking a vitamin water.
Well, you've had a sip of vitamin water.
I might have another sip.
I don't know if you've opened it even.
I saw him, yes.
I don't lie to you about my vitamin water drinking activities. Yeah, how are you guys?
Oh, still okay.
Life has been a lot this week, so I'm just I'm riding the wave and hoping not to drown.
Okay, well, don't know how to segue from that. Sort of peer into the pool of despair. But how about we talk about some RPG stuff? Because we've talked about board games in the last episode, like a bunch of nerds. But how about we talk about
now we do
some
what the cool kids talk about.
Yeah, this is what Critical Role does, and they're millionaires, so it must be good. It's solid business. But yeah, I thought we could have a chat about games that basically close to my heart, one of my favorite kind of settings and systems. So not to bury the lead too much, so I'm going to be talking about Deadlands, or Deadlands Reloaded, I guess, in the case of what we've played the most of, which is a setting based around Savage Worlds rule set. So it gets a bit layered, but generally speaking, it's like the core rulebook is just very generic. There's nothing in it. And then Deadlands is the theme that you slather on top like a rich Wild West caramel. That's an analogy that lands, right?
Wild West caramel. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, brown and sticky. Yes.
Yeah, brown and sticky. Everyone knows what that means. Sweet and uncomfortable.
You're making a good case for this.
I'll talk you round. But I'll give you the general kind of pitch of the setting. So this is a departure from the classic sort of D&D fantasy orcs, elves, blah 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 blah. This is set in the Weird West in 1870, a year around that. So it's kind of like cowboys and Native Americans. I'll change it up. I'm woke.
I think it actually is nowadays. I'm hearing that they do want you to call them Indians.
God damn it!
Right, I was gonna say that I want us to add a beep over you say Native American. So it's just cowboys and.
Oh
Maybe
no!
And then
if I've got time to do it,
cowboys and. Yeah, that's right. I'm switching it up.
No,
I want that.
I don't want that.
we could think about it.
And then Ita going. I actually think that they prefer to be called.
it just spirals out of there. Spirals out of control.
I don't think we've established enough.
Well-timed bleeps are they're so funny. They're so good.
If you can do it. All right, let's see if we've got the energy to do that in post-production. But yeah, so this is the Wild West, or more specifically, the Weird West, because the setup is that at this particular time, in this particular place in the world, the boundaries between our world and the worlds beyond are thin, and creepy things are basically crawling through from the other side and kind of infecting our reality. So things that were only in folklore and myth are now becoming manifest and real. So these old stories of the classic kind of what's the word for like a creature that isn't like almost a mythological creature?
Hey.
A vampire.
No, there's like
Yeti.
like big
Cryptid.
Cryptids. That's the one. Like, yeah,
Cryptozoology.
Cryptozoology. But these things are then becoming real, but only in this really kind of frontier town or these frontier places where people are just barely hanging on the Wild West, but also now they're being attacked by shadow demons that steal their teeth.
Skin crawlers and shit.
Yeah.
Skin walkers, I think. It's
yeah. And like basically, people rising from the grave, creepy demons and devils coming to plague humanity. And you're basically, for the most part, a bunch of guys just trying to survive in this kind of world. There's other kind of events, like California has exploded. There's been the discovery of ghost rock, which is kind of like mega steampunk coal, but it screams when you burn it, but it powers all these kind of like fantastical steampunk like advances. So the technology is beyond what it would have been at the time. So you got these kind of gunslingers, mad scientists.
I think I played a gravedigger. I like.
Yeah. Yeah, but ex-soldier. Yeah, and also the American Civil War is kind of ground to a halt. Like, it's a real kind of stalemate. So there's kind of fraction between the North and the South.
And there's something weird about how it deals with slavery, I think. Yeah.
Well, spoilers, America still isn't a great place for racial equality. Yeah, that's right, I'll say it. But yeah, especially it was bad then. In the new kind of editions, they're trying to hand-wave it as more like, just treat this as the aesthetic rather than a racism simulator.
Thankfully, I think, yeah.
So it's like, sure, if you want to say that women can't vote and they can't do anything, then that's on you, and that's just you being a dickhead. This is just kind of the old kind of Wild West fantasy aesthetic.
Which I kind of do appreciate the fact that they do like say specifically like if you really want to do this is you being a dickhead.
Yeah.
It's like not verbatim, but this is
like,
basically
do
what
you
they say.
really want to be with people who want to role play slave owners and
like,
racists? If it's like, oh, we gotta get, I want to be a slave owner.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Like, that's your number
Didn't
one.
you play an ex-slave owner?
Ex-slave owner.
So
some flavor.
You just what a self-own.
Yeah,
I
played someone who doesn't have slaves anymore, gave up that life.
A life of real toil and hardship. I'm sure it was an odd thematic choice, but anyway,
I wasn't a racist.
Anyway, we're getting away from why I think the game is actually pretty good. So there's still fantastical elements. There's still like a supernatural kind of vibe to it. It's mainly more horror based, like. You're not as tanky as you would be in like a sort of a heroic fantasy D&D style game. And also I find it easier to run because I know how humans act. And that's kind of so I know how like theoretically how NPCs would interact with you and interact with the world. And I know what seeing something fantastical would be to like an average guy.
Yeah.
Or an average person.
Because it's quite like low magic in many ways. Like it's like they're weird shit, but it's like very like unpredictable things, and it's like it's not. Most people are not magical in the world of the.
No, so there's a few like magic classes that you can play as, but it's not really a class-based game. Like it's pretty much a skill-based game. So everyone can pretty much do everything, apart from a few little things if you have like these weird powers. So one of them is like a huckster. So one of the demons that come through that try and like infect and spread fear among the West. If you're very charismatic, you can sort of capture and bind one of these demons to you if you're like more of a card shark. And through basically playing poker with the demon that is resident within you, you can summon some of the demon's powers to do magic on your behalf. But the magic is super dangerous. So this is the kind of thing. If you're a character that has powers beyond like a gun or a bat with a nail through it, if you flub trying to do an attack, you have like backfires, or like if you're a mad scientist and your ghost rock powered laser gun like doesn't fire, then it will just explode
on your
like, so there is magic, but it's risky kind of magic.
The other magic like is also like religion based, and it's very like also super unreliable.
Yes, so you can have basically now because the film Between the Worlds Beyond, and if you have faith in certain beings that are beyond this mortal realm, their effect in the real world can be a lot more miracle-y kind of based. So you can basically ask for miracles, and if you're not faithful enough, you lose faith, and your ability to like summon miracles goes down. It's a really kind of weird system, but I kind of like it just for someone having a crisis of faith during a fight with a shadow demon.
Deadlands started me on the path of like my like RPG characters seem to keep finding religion, and I don't know why that keeps happening. But yeah.
I think there's something subconscious there.
Deadlands was my first like venture into any RPG. When we did either.
It was the first thing I ever DM'd because I did the Coming Around the Mountain one.
Yeah, you ran it for us.
That probably was in that Google Doc that you.
Yeah, but except that my Google Drive was empty for some reason.
Yeah, I care nothing for this.
I found the like some things, and But like that was the first time we played RPGs together. You ran because at the like initially the idea was that we would all run something small, and then it would just like because no one wanted to really be the DM, and then, like so like we do a one shot, and then someone else does a one shot maybe in a different system, and instead you started a mini like campaign.
Yeah, we didn't really play a lot of those,
no,
but I really liked because that's why it sort of caught my imagination that I could like. It's kind of the way that system is set up. That I think it's supposed to be played quite episodically. Like a lot of the adventures that are published are like, here's a situation in this town, and you just happen to come across this. Yeah. And there's a bit of mystery and there's a bit of nuance, and then depending on the enemy you're fighting is either going to be a warped human or something behind the scenes, and it's usually kind of then goes from sort of intrigue to horror to kind of action survival kind of thing. That's usually the progression of the episode. So I kind of liked writing those kind of little episodic segments where you don't have a continuous campaign.
And the way you ran it, I felt like there was obviously the horror and the supernatural element, but also most of the places that we went were like small towns, so we were also dealing with the like small town like frontier dynamics of people and the like communities that were affected. Like that was quite big part of at least how you ran it. Yeah,
because I kind of like again, it comes down to like what I think real people would do. Not in a completely like realistic simulation kind of way, but like say in D&D, and it's like, oh, here's a town of gnomes, and here's like a 20th level wizard. It's like, how would they react? It's like, I have no idea. I don't know what gnomes really care about. The power dynamics are all over the shop. Yeah. Like, oh, I want to threaten the shopkeeper. It's like, well, he's very threatened because you are a god to him. you have more power than he has ever seen in his life, so yes, you can definitely threaten. Whereas in Deadlands, the player characters are what's called wild cards. So you have the added advantage of you have 3 hit points, whereas everyone else in the world except big bads will have 1 hit point. So you're more likely to succeed in your rolls, and you can you're a bit more hardy than everyone else. But theoretically, the way that the dice works, and we can get into that into the actual like systems of it later, is that anyone could be one-shotted through like a lucky roll. Like if you do insane damage, like your headbutt.
Oh yeah, because we played it like based on the Savage Worlds thing, but a different thing. And I think I just wanted to do a headbutt because I was close to like a weird monster, and I thought my marine dude would do a headbutt, and I think that did like 28 damage,
and just
and that would have like
like. Whenever you roll the top number on a dice in Savage Worlds and in Deadlands, it's called acing, and you get to roll it again and add it. So damage, if you keep rolling the top number, then damage can start.
I'd say like most things, like bosses can take 3 wounds or 4 wounds, and they have like for every 4 above 7, you take a wound.
So 20-something damage. Like so if your toughness is 5, so if someone rolls 5 damage, you become shaken or wounded above like so 5 to 10 points of damage is a lot. So if you're headbutting someone for 25 or 26 damage, it's like, oh wow, that was a hell of a headbutt.
Because I just rolled like a D8 and then it was 8 and then a D8 again, and it was still an 8, so that was 16, and then I rolled even more. It was like 8. It just kept. That was the only good rolls I did in the entire, because then the rest of the campaign I was just missing all my shots and I nearly died.
Yeah, I mean,
because no one helped me.
The captain had a rough time.
Captain Crash Cassidy.
Rip. Oh no, you actually did survive. I don't know, but your medic was pretty terrible.
Barely.
So, but anyway, like just to go back to I guess the lore of Deadlands, because I don't think this has come up in the things that I wrote. I was kind of touching on like the other side. So in the books, it's referred to like the hunting grounds, but it's kind of like the world beyond, right? Like the spiritual demon realms are just in the hunting grounds. And the lore of the setting is that for thousands of years, like the first peoples like sacrificed themselves to go into the hunting grounds to hold like these evil spirits back. So the reason we have like mythological beasts is because they did exist, they were coming through, and our ancestors went through and have been stopping them for thousands of years. So now they're just stories, they're tales. And then halfway through the American Civil War, a group of people passed through into the hunting grounds and basically slaughtered the people that were basically got rid of the spirits that were holding the evil back. And then since then, the evil is kind of like filtering into the world, which is why demons are coming through, miracles are real, all these kind of beasties are coming out. And the main core of all the plot points, because you can actually get like campaigns for Deadlands, or you could for Reloaded, and there were 4 kind of campaigns based around the Reckoners. And the Reckoners are like basically the most powerful spirits on the other side, the most powerful evil spirits on the other side. And all they want to do is instill fear. And basically mankind has taken that on in their sort of in more subconscious roles of what evil is. And they've taken on the mantle of like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. So the Reckoners are like war, death, famine, and pestilence.
Yeah.
And then they have the 4 plot point campaigns. If you actually like want to do it properly, they have then their arbiter in the real world to spread war, death, pestilence, and famine. And if they do it well enough, then the world becomes a deadland, and the reckoners can pass through. They can't walk on the earth if it isn't saturated with fear and despair.
Okay. I
So
see.
basically, the heroes are then trying to stop the arbiters, to stop the spread of fear, because the more fearful everything is, the easier it is for evil to come through and infest our world. So it's kind of a cool idea. I kind of like the setting of like, oh, things are just coming from the other side, and it's up to us to like kind of stop it.
And we're just a bunch of random guys in many ways.
Yeah.
For the most
Oftentimes,
part.
you're, like illiterate or missing one eye, or like because when you're picking your like stats and the like stats based like character, you're picking your strengths, but also to get more strengths and get like the coolest powers, you have to also pick something that makes you incredibly bad at certain things. So you can be illiterate or
Obese.
or dumb or like ugly like as hell, like something which makes you much more like
Less charismatic
less
and
charismatic, or
trusting.
like. But then like you can be illiterate but speak all languages, for example. Like these are just
Yeah, but so I guess if we can get into the nitty gritty of building characters and how it's played, I personally like the more that I've played sort of classic like D&D kind of stuff. I like the skill based system in this because I don't like how classes are very restrictive on, well, only I can do this cool thing and you can't do this cool thing. Whereas in a skill based system, you can, like in this and Call of Cthulhu, that you can like skill up, like your character kind of changes and you can get better at certain things.
Yeah, but some people are still better at driving or shooting or,
but
or
that's
like
what-
doing tech stuff.
And-
Everyone
Yeah.
can try it, but like
But that's what I mean.
if you need to get an 8 and you roll a d4, that'll be really hard to get that.
Yeah,
Also,
but if you
like-
think of like subclasses in D&D, like, you know, oh, well, I'm a rogue, so only I can dodge. Only I have
Well,
evasion.
yeah, okay, yeah.
That's the thing that gets me. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
So no, you
no one else
have
can learn to dodge. Yeah.
yeah, and it's just because, you could argue then people do like, okay, my character is like this, I
Yeah.
built it this
Very
way.
cool and
I get it. I understand it. But for me, I'm like, It just adds more rules, it adds more nitpicking, and then it's more bookkeeping for the DM and the player.
Is it more than also like when you design a thing, you have to be like, oh, I have a rogue that's good at lockpicking. Like I have to make like a lockpicking scenario, and I have to make something like plan that everyone can do something that are like their strengths, and they get to do that.
I don't
versus
know. Potentially. I mean, I don't know. In D&D, again, a lot of like, because it's just heroic fantasy, I guess. I don't know how tailored this, because we kind of discussed this
Last time,
Yeah.
but I mean, I don't know how tailored a D&D adventure needs to be for a party, because pretty much all your skills and all the mechanics are kicking the shit out of something at some point. And you can either do sneaking, kicking the shit out of something, or summon incredible elemental powers to kick the shit out of it for you, or just keep stabbing it forever.
But like also I have this like thing about the Deadlands where it's like, yeah, you pick your like skills and there's like you can like get good at many things. I do think it would have made more sense if we were just baseline at least mildly competent at, for example, riding horses, because none of us took any skill in riding horses, and it turned out we were exceptionally bad at everything from then on, because it just
I
didn't.
remember that. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That did come to like the fact that you guys really did run away from a lot, which is fine. But maybe just run away on foot.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm going to take my horse at night.
Yeah, and I'm very bad at like horse riding. I cannot
Well, no one's...
Or shooting, we had like a bunch of people in the Wild West where no one could ride a horse or shoot a gun. It was excellent.
It was an incredible mix of people. But I think there are scenarios where if you're not a good fighter, you can still do stuff. Because I think what I like is that the game isn't in your character sheet for the most part. Like, and maybe it's the way I at least try and DM. Like, if you can improvise something stupid to do or something crazy that you think will work, I'm like more likely to reward that. And especially with the bad guys in Deadlands, because a lot of them aren't like bullet sponges. They have very particular weaknesses and very particular invulnerabilities. So if you just like, I'm going to shoot him in the head for the next 5 hours, it's like, well, yeah, he's not corporeal, so, you know.
Yeah, you threw at us people were wearing masks that made them impervious to bullets, and then we were just like, what the fuck do we do to these people? And
Yeah, that was fun though. Yeah, I like this.
I don't think it helped to even, like, our next option was always to set things on fire, and they were, I think, also, because you figured out quite quickly that was going to be our thing.
So you did set a lot of stuff on fire in those...
Well, to be fair, Mikko was playing a guy, like a girl with a flamethrower. Like, it was was inevitable for that to happen.
Yeah, it was really difficult to give you, like items. Like usually in the classic kind of RPG, so you gain magic items and you become like kind of stronger. And I was like, okay, but you get some stuff with a twist.
We will
and
set
I give
him
you
afire.
something you're
Don't
like,
trust it.
yeah, and you're like, I set fire to it.
Yeah.
I destroyed immediately. I'm like,
But
oh,
again,
okay, well.
you were setting it up so that everything was like you were making
Yeah.
us very paranoid and it was like boring.
I guess that is kind of
You are good at that.
Horroring.
Yeah.
Making us second guess every
Everything.
decision.
Yeah,
It's like,
I mean, it's supposed to
I'm going
be-
to do this. Like, oh, do you?
But it's supposed to be like I think the whole setting and why I like it is you should be kind of on edge, and you're not as flimsy, I think, as you think you are.
Yeah.
No.
Especially since like playing Call of Cthulhu since then,
Mm.
where wow, you are flimsy. You should not be in a fight.
No.
Like you better be in a fight where the other guy is either not looking or asleep. You know, that's because otherwise it's just rough. Like there's a whole chapter in Call of Cthulhu of how to run away. And it's fantastic. Like it's so good. It's like, well, we've got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And there's like sort of abstract kind of chase rules just to keep the tension of literally running away
away.
from a fight.
I think I like that as well. And then also when you mentioned like that in Deadlands, that boss fights or something, you have to do a specific thing that you it's not just like, well, I have a gun, I shoot, and then I wait for my turn and then I shoot again. Because I maybe in like RPGs, I find the fighting to be kind of maybe the most boring part. Of a thing, because usually it's like we're gonna do some damage, we're gonna take some damage, we're gonna do some damage, and then we get to do more stuff. I don't find maybe I'm just like not living into the fight as much as like it's
Or
funny.
maybe
So if someone almost
especially
dies, but then
high
like,
level stuff.
but then if it's
is
something like you have to do a specific thing, I remember I was running a thing and you were like fighting it was basically like an abused dog that had turned into this sort of monster, and it was the only way to hurt it was to use a big stick that it was used to like abuse the dog with before.
Ooh.
That's
And
great.
then
I
like,
remember this.
and then
yeah.
was
Too
it, because
grim.
the other way is to like attack it. It just didn't care.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't hurt it. And then
That was
you,
such
you
a
guys
strong
you guys
boss.
got the stick, and what they did with it, I just thought like, oh, he probably wants the stick. They just
Yeah,
threw
well-
the stick away.
Oh.
Yeah, well, I thought that was clever. It's like the dog is going to the guy with the stick, so throw the stick away, and then the dog will run away. And no, that was not it. It was like that was your only weapon.
The dog did not want you to have the stick.
Okay. Yeah, I think we got it after we were just like
Yeah.
absolutely
No, we have
mauled
this
by
stick.
this
I'll
thing.
throw it away. And it's like,
That was such a strong.
oh,
That was
it
a
funny.
super
It
strong
was
boss.
funny.
There was like, oh my.
But again,
God, I can't
that's
do
like,
it.
oh well, I have my like, I can fight, but you need to like think of a way of, okay, we can only damage it in one way. So how
No,
do
we
we
Yeah.
do
had that in D&D as well, but I understand what you guys are saying.
Yeah,
but
no,
yeah.
no. I'm not
Like, it
saying
doesn't-
that doesn't exist in
No,
D&D.
but it's
I'm
like
not
it's
sa- I'm not
definitely
saying
it's
that,
more of
but-
a like it's like more built
Yeah.
into how Deadlands works. I think.
Yeah, and I
But I
think
guess D&D is more. It's like
Depends.
it's
on how you
very
play.
fighty. Of like, at least when I play, it's like people have like you have like a mage or a wizard war or whatever they are, cleric that has like a million spells, and it's like every fight is like, well, I make it rain and then I make a massive thunderball.
And this is something
and that's
again
what
in
I can do.
Deadlands where I think, especially with the magic, the resources are so much more limited. Like if
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
think that D&D is like you have too much things to do, it's like this is more like no, you can maybe do one thing today.
and then everything you do is high risk.
Yeah, it's
which
like
is
you
what I
can
like as
try
well.
to do one thing today. If it might succeed and be quite epic, or it might maim you.
Yeah, but I like those kind of like because a fight where things go really wrong is more interesting to me than like, oh my god, that took 3 hours and we were just hitting it and then it was hitting us,
Yeah.
and it's like, and especially running like bad guys in D&D, I think you need a lot more prep if they can do a lot more stuff. Like if your big bad guy is like a mage and you want to, I can do some shenanigans. And then if you really want to play it like rules as written, then you've got to like learn. So you've got to do this whole scenario in my head and then
Yeah.
also learn 5 levels of spells for this like
But I think
mind
Matt
flayer
Colville
guy.
has a really good thing about this, like about running high-level bad guys that are like magic people, like so, and making it less cumbersome and whatever.
What was the top tip? Could you boil it down? Or you can't remember?
I genuinely like. I think it was. No, I'm not gonna like. I'm not going to sell it short. I think it was very good, and I've definitely integrated a lot of it into how I do things. But I don't have a top tip about it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like, I guess the way I've sort of approached it now, especially with the Deadlands stuff, is pick 2 kind of crazy things that the bad guy can do and then, like, just stick to that. Don't really, like, kind of... don't give them a list of 25 things they can do. Either freestyle it at the time. It would be like, okay, it'd be really cool if my bad guy could do this right now to, like, mess things up and then just do it, like, off the back of your hand. Or just narrow it down to, like, 3 kind of crazy, cool things and then just sort of pick from that.
But do you think like how do you feel about Deadlands in general, not run by you? Because you were going quite deep into the like horror element of it, and you like doing these kind of like episodic things. Do you think it's like a system that works for other kinds of play, or is it more like?
Well, as in the core kind of rules, do you mean?
Yeah, like
I think it can be applied. I think the mechanics fit best to something that isn't just pure heroic fighting.
Yeah.
I think it fits investigation and then maybe sort of horror elements of it, or low-level fights. I think that's kind of the system because everyone is sort of low health, low fight, generally kind of stats, unless you really go for a fighter. I guess the only other system I've tried, well, not really a system, but we just skinned it, was like literally last night doing this kind of alien-themed one. Like, you're just... it's like 2185. You're just basically space truckers. You've got a G-class freighter. You're going through space doing salvage jobs.
Interesting. Okay.
So, you know, like, have you seen Alien or Aliens?
I have, yes.
So it's like 80s American republicanism across the galaxy.
I
like
love it.
Corporations own colonies, you know, they terraform and then you work for the corporation on this new planet, and like, so everything's kind of rough and there's people kind of surviving on the fringes. So the setup was that you guys are
It's Firefly.
pretty much, but like grimmer.
Okay.
It was way grimmer.
I was doing like, but I was trying to do every trope. So it was like Alien versus Firefly versus like anything that's kind of horror-y. I'm like, I like just, because I like playing out the tropes. Like, I don't, the thing of like, oh, they can expect one thing and it's actually another. It's like, I don't know, is that interesting? Is it actually kind of cool to play kind of cool tropey things?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, a goblin fight in D&D. How expected? It's like, yeah, just fight some fucking goblins. Stop whinging.
Yeah.
You're heroic. What do you want to fight? You know, I don't know. So there's that. So I was trying to do all this kind of like tropey thing.
No, I think it worked fine for like, it doesn't have to be, but I mean, this was also like, it wasn't the Wild West, but it was also equally horror themed for you as well, which I just think is a theme for you. You just love horror stuff.
I do like it.
Because when I've done Deadlands, the few games I ran, I don't think they were not nearly as horror-y as yours.
I'm trying to remember which one was. I
maybe
remember the dog one. What was the other one?
The other one was like there was like a man who was. You came across the town, but you basically came across a dude who was like he liked stuffing people. Like he liked stuffed animals, and you were like contracted to like, oh, there's this puma around that he wants to like get because it's super good like stuffed animal. But he was also like a taxidermy crazy guy. But he was also collecting humans like in a back room he wanted, and he got really interested in one of you to be like, oh, I want that.
I've actually heard about this story.
I want
before,
that.
like,
I want that in your collection. And then I invented.
Are you saying that isn't creepy?
Yeah, I'm just
You're
thinking,
saying that's not a horror scenario. That's
not-
just a normal scenario that we all deal with.
It's not as horror as maybe your. Maybe
creepy,
it was
but
worse.
like it wasn't maybe atmospheric.
It wasn't as horror-y, but it was maybe.
Again, I haven't.
I remember being disturbed, but it was like someone going, "Oh, you're lovely and soft." It'd be a shame if you were to fall asleep and never wake up, so I could stuff your body with straw and put you in my backroom collection.
Yeah,
that's still pretty creepy to me.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, like I also
maybe
feel
creepy,
like,
but not like horror. Like yesterday when we played, which was like weird.
That one was just I was just going for like kind of pure horror on that one.
Yeah.
Just like, but you're alone in space. It's
I know,
such a good setting.
It has to be horror. But
like if I was really gutsy, I could have put nothing in there. It's just a normal ship.
Yeah,
and everyone would have gone, "Oh God!"
I mean, yeah, it would
what's
have
that creaking?
Like, yeah.
You kind of make your brain expects. You know,
then you call us out on the fact that we kept running away from everything when you were running the like.
Yeah, but you were really powerful. I mean, you had like a flamethrower. Everyone had like a super powerful shotgun and stuff. I'm like, generally, if you just stood and fight.
Yeah.
So
but
which is why I tried to make.
Good at making it really seem like we're gonna get fucked by
I
everything.
I did a lot of mistakes playing that. Like if I did it again, I'd do so many things differently.
I think some of the adventures that I wrote that we didn't play were a bit more pulpy, which were a bit more like you can just. It's not trying to be creepy. It's just more like go out and smash something.
Yeah.
Weird. Because if I feel like because I've never ran Deadlands, I've only played the like some games that you ran, and then like otherwise. But I think if I were to run it, because I had this idea for a D&D adventure on Avernus that never is going to happen, but I could do that same thing now instead of Deadlands, because I was thinking of doing like very survival based, like, you know, resource gathering, like you're in a desert with like a group of like nomad kind of people, and I feel like that would be something I could do in Deadlands, where it's like it's a prairie and you're like roaming the prairie, and it's more about dealing with the elements and dealing with the world being your main problem, obviously with some monsters in it, but less horror-y.
I think that's definitely more set up for something that's rules light and not focused on like getting super powerful characters.
Yeah.
Because I think any sort of horror element is diminished as soon as
You can
you can
fireball.
summon. Yeah, you fireball or summon a storm. And like people do argue, oh, you can do horror in D&D. It's like, yeah, you can, but up until the point of that first fight, then the horror is like there's no stress in the fight. I don't think any more than it would be in any other D&D fight.
I disagree, but I know I play in a very particular kind of campaign.
So what I mean, okay, let's go into that then. Like, so what makes a horrifying kind of D&D setup? Like, what needs to be tailored? Like, because in my mind, I'm thinking you have to be all very low level.
I was
kind
playing,
of the kicker for
I
me.
ran it was supposed to be quite a casual game, like it was mostly like we called it the friendship is magic because it was for like a very specific group of characters who just wanted to hang out with each other.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I reskinned someone else's and slightly like altered someone else's like homebrewed ghost monsters. But their thing was that they would induce this like death spiral kind of thing where like their hits were not doing a lot of damage, but they were sapping either your strength or constitution, and then their attack would be
Okay,
like,
so it's horrifying because it's then
it's like if you know how the like dynamics work at all, it's like you can see yourself and your like companions getting weaker, even though they are super powerful characters, and these are uncorporeal beings, and they sap pieces of you, and if you don't get out, you will die. Like you're getting weaker and less able to run away and less able to fight every single round.
Is that a cheat because you were attacking their weakest stats, like something they have very little control over? Is that why it's horrifying? It's like, well, these numbers are very low.
No, it could also be their strongest stat.
But I mean, like, compared to like health, if someone like these guys would have like over 100 health, like how many attacks would it take to actively hit someone?
Yeah, but
if you were like, I mean, it's horrifying because it's something they can't get back, right?
Yeah, on some level, but also like even if they can get it back, even if it regenerates after after a long rest, it's still like it doesn't change the fact that you are stuck in a situation where if every moment you stay, it becomes less likely that you get out. Yeah. And you're becoming less able to fight, and then even if you are the person who can withstand that, you can see everyone else around you getting weaker, and then you just like you can like this, and this was with characters that are super powerful.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't realize it was that scary or that like stressful until afterwards when people were saying like, "Holy shit, did you realize what you did?"
Is that then the only trick you can pull?
I don't know. That's the only trick I've so far pulled. Yeah. But I do think we've had those games that have felt that way without that being the mechanic.
So I ran like first few sessions of like Curse of Strahd for some of the D&D boys, and they got into a fight with a lot of night hags, and they're still in the idea of you always do a fair fight with a monster, and it's balanced that we will win. And I was like, well. That isn't the case, and they kind of got trashed and like they lost really badly. And then the night hags let them live, but they took something from them, like so they could choose like they were really poetic options. Like this was like all homebrew stuff that I just stole off the internet, but you could choose like your last breath can be taken, like, and then the hags would keep it, and then the deal was we'll give you this back if you deliver us children from the local orphanage. And I was like, yes, I'll give them something horrible to do, which they won't do because they're heroes. And instantly left. They were like, well, how do we break into this orphanage? I was like, holy shit, okay. Well, and then I had to scrabble through. I was like, I'm going to have to sketch out an orphanage really quickly because now they're going to break in and steal some kids.
So what were you expecting them to do? Just like go back and kill the hags some other way?
Yeah.
Or deal with the tragedy. Like I would, like the way I play these games is that I then take the angst of the horrible things that happen to the character and I write about them, and that's my favorite part of any game that I'm playing.
Well, you need to steal more children. That's how you get over this. But yeah, I was like, because I just wanted to show that like you won't win every fight. It's not a cheat to me, the DM, if you are really cheeky with how you fight things. There is no boxing ring in D&D. Like I try and make it like some things will kill you. It is like that's the lesson. And they were like, they're really powerful. We can't beat them. We've got to steal some children. And they're like, well, okay, that's a different lesson that I was trying to teach, but all right.
But I think that's also like this is how you also run like Deadlands as well, and it's more like pronounced in Deadlands because like the fights are even more pronouncedly not gonna be fair fights that you are expecting to win.
I did like those masked guys just because I was like, what happens if you give really impotent people invulnerability and they're just scumbags?
Yeah, they were actual dickheads. I think like we hated them so much, and we hated them even more because we couldn't, and like none of the things
just
keep punching them, and they just like they were toying with us and I like you have run some real dickhead characters. Like your NPCs have been. Some of them were like people I had like real feelings of animosity towards even after the game ended.
Like just the bad guys, or I can't remember.
The bad guys. I think. Yeah.
I think you were going to meet some nicer people later on.
And then some real creepy fucking things, like the dude with the the dolls was just like.
Oh yeah, around the campfire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, something that where we were just like, okay, we should just torch all of them and hope that helps.
Mm-hmm. I like that fight because again, it was a fight that wasn't a usual fight. It was like spoilers for this game that no one's going to play. It was a possessed puppet, and basically the puppet could control people, right? Yeah. So it made its owner like shoot himself in the middle of the night, and then the puppet's only weapon was you guys against each other.
Which was excellent when we had a fucking flamethrower that got turned on.
Yeah, but then you were like, we better get rid of these weapons. And then you were like, no, let's keep our weapons. Like, all right. That's kind of how it kills you, though. Like, it can't really do anything except control you. Like, that was its kind of main attack. But yeah, then it was like a fight that wasn't a straight fight. I kind of like those dynamics of, okay, it's not just you're here, and then you just punch each other. Like, I kind of like of how will you improvise or something. Because, it's not as if I'm going to say no to whatever you think.
No.
Yeah,
but I'm just, like, kind of interested in, like, how you would solve it, I guess, is the kind of the one. Because there was going to be a really pulpy one where you guys were hired for some reason or you were just stowing away on a train or something, but you were just in the cargo car. And there was, like, a safe that you were ostensibly guarding, and then like loads of weird kind of crates that are moving across to like Salt Lake City or something. And then the whole train car is kind of kidnapped by a giant airship.
Amazing. Okay. Yeah.
That's captained by, I don't know, some guy and his crew. And they're here just to like steal stuff. Like they just steal stuff from I think it was Hellstrom Industries. Like they're one of the train barons or whatever they're called.
Rail barons.
But yeah, the whole thing was basically a setup that one of the crates contained some of the Hellstrom. So he was like a steampunk inventor, like the City of Gloom. He's the arbiter of pestilence. Like so in this super like grungy smokestack city, that's where pestilence kind of does. And he has these crazy inventions that are apparently all mechanical. Wink, wink. But yeah, basically the bad guy would be then these mechanical spiders. So one of the crates activates at altitude and then opens and then releases like giant mechanical spiders, and their whole job is to avoid you, just destroy the ship, like it destroy the blimp, destroy the so the fight is these things will kill themselves to destroy the ship, and what are you going to do? And then what are you going to do to try and stop them without you also destroy the ship? Because you can't just flamethrower everything while you're thousands of meters above the ground.
In a thing made of hydrogen, I guess. Yeah.
Wait, why were they going to destroy the ship?
Because the story was like in the safe it was going to be like fuck you, Captain whatever of the airship, because he'd stolen so much from Hellstrom. So this was Hellstrom baiting him to steal something and then kill the captain. So yeah, that was kind of going to be it. I was like, okay, so you're now on an airship. This is the map, and also you can't leave the map, otherwise you'll die. And that was another way of like, how can I stop them running away?
Yes.
Put them in the air.
The first game you ran for us, we were stuck on a train. Like there was like it started.
I learned a lot from that because I really learned.
I don't think I was in that.
No, you weren't in the.
No, I've run that twice now. I ran that with the D&D guys as well, and that was pretty cool because someone got injected with a lot of eggs.
The egg injection no.
It's not great, but I learned a lot from because like reading the module, especially these old school ones, is like. And then the heroes will definitely do this, and they will do this. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll just take that. Because I haven't DM'd a game. I haven't really played in a lot of games before that. I think I did like one session of Rise of the Rune Lords or something like 5 years before. And so it's just like, well, if the module says they'll do this, then I guess heroes will do this.
I'm so sorry for you.
And then I was like, do it, like, and then we were like, I don't know what your plan was. Like, we better get the fuck out of here. Maybe we can sacrifice these guys and just run away.
Basically, yeah.
It's like they're as good as dead.
Was the thing like you had to help these guys, or and then they just chose not to, or
the setup is that you're in like one of the last trains that's going over the Rockies before they close the track for the winter because everything gets snowed in, and one of the passengers is an agent, like agents as in like kind of FBI supernatural guys, and they're transporting a creature that they found over on the East Coast to like Area 51 for study, and he's really antsy about it. And then during the train ride, basically things go wrong. Basically the thing gets loose in the carriage. At the same time, then bandits kind of blow up a bridge, and like the train crashes. So the stage 1 of like the escalation of bad things is bandits are just trying to attack the train to steal stuff. Meanwhile, like an ungodly creature has escaped, devoured the agent, devoured thing, like, and then if
It's
you
now
survive the
loose
night,
somewhere around,
and it's loose around, and then you realize like you can't get any, you camp there at the night, and you realize that all the bandits' bodies in the morning are gone. So this creature has taken the bodies, and you're like,
And there's weird as fuck like footprints and shit. Like,
like not.
And we're in the middle of the Rockies. There's no way for us. Like the fact that we were like, yeah, we should run away was like we would die. Like we would like.
It would be more of a survival, kind of thing. Because the module is like they'll definitely try and find the bodies and this weird creature, and meanwhile they're like, we gotta get the fuck out of here.
Do you think that that's true for like most groups will just do not at all what's expected, or do you think that it's more like the people you play with or we play with that will like just?
And I don't think we would
I
even
think
do
just
that anymore.
whatever.
It was just
I
that
think
first.
everyone was new. I was very new. Like
Yeah.
everyone was playing as very new, and then I did kind of pitch it as like because it was a horror theme, so maybe I was really laying that on.
And saying that
Yeah.
you will like you don't want to take a fight, you will die.
Well, I was trying not to just. I mean, if you run through the frozen Rockies on your own for 4 days, this thing will probably pick you off. Was trying to-
but like I think it was most for all of the people in that it was.
Yeah.
I had played the D&D group before that a bit. I think that's like I was the only one who had any experience in RPGs at that point.
But
like in the
I don't
previous
mean
campaign, yeah.
this specific campaign, but I think like in general, I feel like, do you think we do even more stuff that's just like not expected, or is that what everyone just does? I feel like we go off script quite a lot.
I think that depends on the system, because I think your expectations of what your character would do differ very differently. And I did kind of set it up as you're just schmucks on a train for that one. So fair enough, you're not going to act heroic. Whereas I think if you did set up a D&D scenario, then you are probably going to be more heroic. Like, it's really weird for a 15th level cleric to go, oh, I'm going to get the fuck out of here.
And also, like, it would have been different if we had been, like, if the characters we had played, I think we were playing, some of us were playing extremely antisocial characters to a point of,
Oh,
like,
God,
this
that was
is,
a
like,
nightmare to do
it was,
NPC.
like, that made it, on some level, kind of almost unplayable, because we had people playing characters that are just, like,
I'm a
inherently...
lone wolf.
I hate everyone, will not speak to anyone, will not make eye contact with anyone, I hate everyone, and I just have knives.
Yeah, it was tricky. Because spoilers, I knew what was going to happen in the adventure. So I was like, yeah, I know. I flicked ahead. But it's kind of important to, well, what I thought at the time, to try and build, like, relationships or at least interactions with people on the train.
To care about the people on the train, to be, like,
And then everyone's like, I don't care about anyone apart from me. My life is one tragedy after another. I expected this to happen. I'll kill anyone if I need to. It's like, okay, well, these guys are as good as dead then.
I think that was most of us were like exactly like this. Like I think Raz was playing like a single-minded person with mostly biceps and no brains, and like and doing weird like I killed my best friend and I will kill again, and just
dark past. I really liked how Ruby played it. Like she was just like she was blind. Like that was her hindrance. She was like, I'm completely blind,
Okay,
but like properly.
Yeah, like she
How
just
do you play? What?
You can't shoot, you can't fight. Like, and she was just like a shamanic healer.
Okay.
I think
So
Ruby
playing
was
right.
excellent. Mama, like
She was like, I'm gonna help these injured people in the train. Meanwhile, everyone else is like, I'm gonna get my gun out just in case. Gotta protect myself. Like Ruby's like, I'm gonna just heal. I'm gonna heal these guys because that's the
Ruby
nice
was
thing
the
to do.
MVP of that. Yeah.
But yeah, expectations I think drive what people want to get out of a game as well.
I think that's like one thing that I think we could talk about at some point is like session 0 being a thing. Because we tried to do a session 0, but like our session 0 was mostly us being understanding what the fuck do you do with these dice? How do you build a character? How does the system work? What is even playing RPGs? And we didn't really do the like expectation management or like what kind of a game do we want. Like I think there's a skill to session 0 if you're doing a campaign,
and especially like pitching a game and then people understanding what kind of flavor of game it's going to be, because that can be a real kind of mismatch as well. You know, if you set up for a heroic fantasy and it's like, we got 2 hit points and you can't fight, then it's like, oh well, my guy he shouldn't be alive in this world. That like there's no way this guy lived past 15.
Or if you're doing a horror story and or with like real tragic shit or like social dynamics and everything, and then you get like a raccoon and a person called Titsman G. And like it's just like,
Well, we did have Jerry Dildo Baggins in the.
We did have Jerry Dildo Baggins.
GDB. Even in the horror alien one.
wow. Okay.
No, I think he was just named
Just
Jerry
Jerry.
in that one.
Yeah, Bo played that really well. I can show you the sheet. Basically, I was just trying to like seed distrust among everyone because there was the core crew and then there was 2 corporate guys. One was a synthetic, and obviously has.
I don't know how you had written that the one of the corporate guys was supposed to be, but he played. Either he is a or he just played it really well.
We're gonna beep that one.
Yeah.
Party was born to play because up until that point, the company guy was going to be the NPC, right? Then he sort of took it. And I was like, oh, this guy's going to be such a.
I think he played it
shithead.
even like meaner than you.
Yeah, I was like,
he was a real fucking asshole. I
he
know
was saying some weird shit. I was like,
being
hands
yeah,
off.
I love it.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Oh,
it was perfect.
He was so annoying.
Yeah,
but in a good way annoying. Like I would expect this guy to be this annoying, not like annoying not playing.
Like
but
he's
annoying,
an exec from
an asshole.
a multi-trillion-dollar interplanetary corporation, and he's been told that he's in charge.
Yeah.
So you're just trucker schmucks to him.
I would love to play that kind of but like I would want to play like an NPC villain in some character like game at some point because I feel like that would be so fun. I don't know if I would be any good at it. I think I might be too nice.
as a villain. We'll get you in as Strahd. Hey guys, welcome to my castle.
And then I will eat you, yes.
Maybe. Only if I get bored enough. Okay, so that's kind of our discussion of Deadlands, kind of why I like it, why I play it. Apparently I've just, after a moment of introspection, realised that I only like horror games.
I think, you like Deadlands, but I think you like the horror part of it.
It gives you a template of weak people in a weird situation, and that means you get to do horror.
Yeah, I do. It's a sick sexual pleasure that I get from it.
In my head, every time we think about or we talk about Deadlands or like we're playing Deadlands, my head goes to, I don't know if you've seen the film. I think it's called Wild West with Will Smith in it.
Wild West.
Yeah, Wild West. That's the aesthetic that I think of when it comes to Deadlands.
Giant mechanical spiders.
And then I'm like, oh, we're in this world. And then that's my basis for everything in Deadlands is Will Smith in the Wild West.
It's more of a dark twist on
it's a dark twist on that, but that is sort of my aesthetic of it. But I guess I'm not as focused on like that grungy, horror-y part of it. I'm more like, oh, the Wild West, pretty cool.
There was I've sent you like the story art. There were some like pulpy ones.
Yeah,
and there was some dark shit that I don't think now I would get anyone to play just because it's too rough.
I was just thinking, like, I haven't played in a game run by either of you guys in a very, very long time at this point, and I would like to give Deadlands a new go now that it's like with maybe people who would be playing it differently and maybe with more perspective now about how I would like to play like RPGs because.
We definitely should.
Say the word, and then we'll pencil in that June afternoon when you're free, and then we'll go
June
for it.
2024 as well.
Yeah,
that's not this year.
Yeah.
I'm not pointing fingers. Some of us more busy than others. Could be any of us.
Fingers crossed. We
should do it. I've got an adventure that I was like, because I get 2 pitches to these guys.
I have a Deadlands adventure that I've had ready for like years.
Okay, well we should do that one then.
Yeah.
And like I've tentatively agreed to maybe be playing in a Blades in the Dark like one shot.
Ooh, I hear some interesting things.
I don't know.
I will talk about it.
We talk about that
later. But
heists.
It should be fun. Like it's gonna be like it might happen after HLO, but like it might be like run by a person who also hasn't played it but is very interested in it. So we'll just see how that goes. But like I'm just now getting to the moment of my life where I'm like, okay, when this thing that I'm currently doing is over, I'll have time to actually do new and interesting things again. Yeah. And I'm hoping that like maybe doing Deadlands again is one of those things.
Yeah, we definitely should.
I need more horror in my life that isn't caused by actual real life things that I'm trying to deal with.
Horrendous injuries and workplace dramas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we could all
maybe
say
when
that.
your life is too much horror, you don't want to go home and then pretend even more horrific things happen.
No, but then
that's when you need Cascadia. When your life's horror, you need Cascadia. I think that's a good.
Or a giant panda model.
Yeah. And when your life is like Cascadia, you need horror in your life.
But then
that's
like
true.
when we're
Everything
playing
in
Deadlands, it's like, well, okay, Deadlands isn't the greatest.
It's not really horror.
No, but like D&D gives you the feeling of like, hey, there are monsters, but I can deal with them. Deadlands gives you the feeling like, oh, there are monsters, I should run away or I'm fucked. And then like, or you're just like, I'm made of glass.
Yeah, I mean, it's still heroic. I mean, everything can be overcome. There's not an undefeatable evil.
Unless the weird like what were the like huge like blood sucking thick like falls down your throat and then you're fucked. Yeah.
Rules as written, they will kill you 9 times out of 10.
They were terrifying. Yes.
Yeah, that's all cool stuff. All good stories. But yeah, maybe we can like play some sessions in the future and report back, see if we're still on the Deadlands train, see if I can convince you over to the horror side, away from your D&D.
Nah, D&D is still like
for life.
Or we end up on the cyberpunk train.
That's true. I do want to play more
is good.
Cyberpunk.
I still haven't played it.
Which
Like,
is clunky as hell, but you don't have to. You can just ignore some things that
It's not too clunky. It's a
that
bit
make
crunchy.
it more crunchier. But you can just ignore that, and you don't have to like.
Yeah. Well, we
We're
can
not-
come back
yeah.
to that one.
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll
Playing
come back to
more-
all of these.
Yeah.
We'll play every RPG and
Yeah.
then we'll come
Ever
back to
made.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the 10 Candles is also something that I
Yeah.
want to play with you guys. So that
Oh
would
my
be
god,
great.
yeah, but that's very role play. You got to be in the right state of mind for that. But I would love
right.
to do it.
Yeah. Let's try to play more role-playing games in the year 2023.
I'm up for that.
I think that's a good goal.
All right, and on that New Year's resolution. Spoilers when we're recording this. Yeah, we'll say goodbye from us.
Bye.
Follow us on
I've
the
been
socials.
Sparkles McGee. Whatever was the
Twilight
spelling.
Sparkles,
Twilight
Sparkles.
and Applejack. Yeah.
Yeah. Both horrendous to look at. Just real X-rated stuff. I'm not a fan. But maybe you can catch it on OnlyFans or Instagram
Yeah.
after this episode. But yeah, it's goodbye from me.
Bye.
Mild buys again.
Mild buys all round. Okay, bye.